It's time to go live. I almost forgot to go live. How are y'all doing tonight? Wonderful. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Spindle TV. My name is Laney Shaughnessy. I'll be your host this evening. Tonight we are opening the floor up for some Q&A. We haven't done a Q&A on the live channel in a little while, and I want to give me just a second here. We haven't done a live Q&A in some time, and I'm gonna let my doggy out. You want to go out, bud? Do you want to go out? Because I'm talking. Laney, and my dog, his name is Laney, just like my name. I didn't name her. That's why I adopted her, because her name was Laney also. But we haven't done a Q&A in a while, so I want to kind of do that. And if you have any questions, I want you to put a question mark in front of your question when you type it in the chat. That way I know it's for me and not for someone else in the chat, if y'all are having conversations amongst yourselves and everything. And so any of your Vectric questions or anything like that, for sure, let me know. Now, if you have specific CNC questions or anything like that, I can try my best to answer, but I don't know all the controllers for all the different machines or anything like that. So that I'll do my best with on things like that. I'm trying to pull up all the files that I want to pull up, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. I want to show you folks a couple things, a couple of announcements while we're waiting for some questions to come in. Saturday night, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I'm going to be on Russell Clarity's podcast. I think it's Talk Shop with Russ. I'll pull up the channel here in just a second and see if I can share the link. He has not sent me a link yet, but I'll see if I can pull up one. But I'll be there at 8 o'clock. They're going to have some questions for me regarding, whatever, Vectric, CNCs, digital wood carver, and things like that. So be sure to check out that live podcast. I'll be a guest speaker with him. Great guy. I've known Russ for quite some time and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to being on the show. The other announcement is, if you know anyone, or if you're interested and you're looking for another CNC, or you're looking to maybe upgrade your CNC for commercial CNC and all that stuff, I do work with Digital Wood Carver CNCs, and we have our November special running right now, big discounts and everything. And for those of you that might be looking for some commercial CNCs, I have 2 4x8 CNCs, pre-owned 4x8 CNCs that are heck of a steal, fully loaded package, and then one that's a normal package, but automatic tool changer and things like that are at a great price. If you're ever looking for something like that, sales at digitalwoodcarver.com, sales at digitalwoodcarver.com. I'd love to, help you out, or help a friend of yours out, or anything like that. If you're looking for, if you know somebody that's looking for a CNC, so spread the word. We got a big November sale happening right now, all the way up through Black Friday and stuff. So let's take a look at a couple of questions already. So number one question is, what's the latest AI program that I'm into? And I'll tell you right now, if you're not watching Vectric's YouTube channel and things like that, and looking at what they're up to lately and all, Becky, not too long back, did an amazing video on making 3D models using a program called Sculpt-OK, and also ChatGPT to help kind of create some images and everything. The screen one is the screen here. I am totally into that. Sculpt OK. It is a game changer, an absolute game changer, ladies and gentlemen. If you have Vectric VCarve Desktop and Vectric VCarve Pro, and you've always wanted to be able to make 3D models, like make 3D models of your own, verbal, like I want a model of this or a model of that, whatever the case may be. Becky's video, she gives you a prompt that they use to create to give to ChatGPT to create the image, and then you take that from that prompt, you take that over to Sculpt OK, and it you can generate your STL model from there, and it's a simple process. Now, Vectric, stay with Vectric, man, because they're about to change the game here with their new releases coming out and everything. They've got their own. They're kind of taking the best of that Sculpt OK and ChatGPT, and they've got their own 3D making program now with AI and stuff. And Vectric AI I think is going to be awesome. But right now, that video, Becky's video on if you write down her prompt and everything, and you change only the part about what you want, but you keep all the rest of the words and everything, and I'll show you the prompt here in just a second, but you use that prompt in ChatGPT and you're going to get some amazing results. So let me show you just a couple of the amazing results that I've achieved and everything with using her prompts and everything. Let me see if I can get this to open proper. Which direction? I want to go in this direction. Yeah. Okay. So let's first take a look at the prompt. So it all makes sense to you. So let's open up a notepad here and let's go to here. So and again, on Becky's video, you pause the video and you write down that prompt she has and everything. And I'll tell you exactly what the keywords, what the main things are to keep in this. So let's look at this prompt here we have on the screen. I got two different versions here, but create a high resolution grayscale image that is framed in a blank. And it doesn't even have to be framed. You don't have to use that sentence at all, but you do need create a high resolution grayscale image of, right? And in this case, we put it in a frame. In my case, the oval. Everything, if you do a frame, the next key important thing is everything must be contained in the frame. Okay. Please include, now this is where you put in your part. So for me, I wrote, please include a jolly Santa Claus with his hand on the back of a fluffy Highland cow looking towards the camera on a snowy landscape, a traditional red farm truck behind them slightly back in the distance. Okay. Now, intricate details of the snow drifts, wood texture, the fur texture, and then here's the important part. In the highest possible contrast, representing a bas relief model for CNC machining. The image must feature extremely balanced lighting with a very clear, sharp contour textures included. Include distinct depth levels to create a pronounced 3D effect. The relief itself should be made of organic shapes as though it's modeled from clay. Very important. That's why those models are always smooth and stuff. So as it's modeled from clay with flowing lines, design it with no undercuts. Design it with no undercuts. All right. Now, if you use that prompt, word for word, except for the fluffy Highland cow and Santa Claus and all that stuff and everything into ChatGPT, you'll get an image that looks something like this. Okay, let me make that bigger So you can see it. So that is the result. This is the result straight out of ChatGPT. Straight out of ChatGPT. Okay. It's pretty awesome. It's an awesome result. I like that result. So anyway, I was very happy with it. An oval frame, everything, contained within that oval frame. Santa Claus with his hand on the back of a Highland cow, old red farm truck in the background with snow drifts and things. So it gave me exactly what I wanted. Now that image, you take it over to Sculpt OK. You take it over to Sculpt OK, and you can even do it with the free account on Sculpt OK. You can import in. So watch Becky's video. It's a game changer for those of you that don't have Aspire where you can't make your models, and those of you that do have Aspire and can't make models like this and things like that. So some of the images that I generated out of ChatGPT were this image. So this was a square decorative frame, right? Sculpted frame. Let's see here. This one for sure. This one right here, Santa driving a red farm truck with a Highland. I like Highland cattle, with a Highland cow in the background with a farm store in the far distance. I did another one with a farmhouse in the background with a Santa driver's seat and a little calf on his lap kind of thing. So I believe that's all of them. Yeah. So that's definitely. So to answer that question, Brooks, Sculpt OK is definitely an AI that you want to be a part of. And there's a free, you can generate like, 20 to 50 models a month for free, for the free account. But, I have the next level up. It's like $19 a month. But the free account, I made that Highland cow and stuff with the free account and all. But that prompt, very, very important. Like I said, everything other than, please create Santa with his arm around a Highland cow facing the camera on a snowy drift. Everything else, the wording, is pretty much the same. And that it's all the key wording, a boss relief for CNC machining, balanced lighting, molded from clay, all of those things make the difference. If you have a good prompt with AI, you can create some amazing results. So I'm excited about that one. That was a great question, Brooks, but that is the AI that I'm currently into right now, and everything. And most definitely, the game changer. It's an absolute game changer. And then Vectric, I think they got so much of a great response from that video. They should have, but anyway, I saw a video release or an ad or a commercial or something from them just not too long ago, a few days back and all, where they were showing their AI, and their AI is very much like the Sculpt OK and everything, and you can put in your little prompt and you can make the model and everything. And it's like, whoo, man, I'm so happy to be on board with them right now because they're leading into the future. And then, the new video that they just released with, what's coming from Vectric, the Mac version of, Spark, the Mac version of, Vectric, and some of the cabinet making software add-ons and stuff that they're doing. It's super awesome. Very, very cool. So the super happy with that. And the let's see here if I can so if I can I'll share this. So the I was teaching a class and, talking about these prompts and everything, right? And so there is, that's me, supposedly, but the nose is too big, But anyway, this is, and that was the image that I went from. Now, this right here, using an image, you can use a graphic image too. And it is credit-based, Brooks Martin, it is. Yes, it is. But you can use a graphic image. So this image that I used here, this graphic image here, is referred to a semi-realistic digital illustration. Okay, semi-realistic digital illustration. And so create a high scale resolution or a high resolution grayscale image that is framed in a decorative rectangular frame. Everything must be contained within the frame. Very important keywords right there. Everything must be contained in the frame. Please include the referenced attached semi-realistic digital illustration in the highest possible contrast, representing a bas relief model for CNC machining. The image must feature extremely balanced lighting, very key, with very sharp contours and textures included. Include distinct depth levels to create a pronounced 3D effect. The relief itself should be made of organic shapes, as though it was modeled from clay with flowing lines. Create no undercuts, right? To create that image. And when that image is created, then you can take that over to Sculpt OK and everything. And so in this one, I did the same thing, but please include a German Shepherd canine police dog that has treed a would-be robber in an oak tree at the end of the sidewalk. Create this in the highest possible resolution. And so we had this, that was the result. The police dog, and then I changed it up and said, because the sidewalk got a little wonky. You see the sidewalk is full length, but on the other side of the dog, it kind of shrunk to a little bit. It was off. It was offline. So I came back and said, make a few minor changes. Number one, the sidewalk should remain consistent as it goes further into the image. You can see near the dog's front paws the drastic change in the sidewalk's width. Please correct that. Change number two, the would-be robber's eyes. Do not have them so bulged out whilst keeping the surprised expression, and give the pupil a bit more white so it does not sink in during the modeling process. And so, it changed up. Now, I didn't tell it to keep the original canine with the canine vest and everything. So it switched up the dog too, and everything, and took away the vest. So I would probably, reprompt that, to keep the vest and everything. But things like that. And when you're talking to ChatGPT, talk to ChatGPT just like you're talking to a human. Like explain to ChatGPT what you're wanting to achieve, like if you were literally talking to someone that you want to be able to do something for you. Hey, John, can you please go over and do this? Or can you do this? Or can you create that? Whatever it is. But ChatGPT, when you're doing your prompts, prompt and talk to them, So here I always compliment ChatGPT. I literally, great job. Can you make great job on what you did? That's exactly what I asked for. Can you make a few changes? Number one, here's this change. Number two, here's this change, right? Kind of thing. Talk to it and just flow, verbalize what you want, and your results will come back, very well. But if you're kind of cryptic as what you want, you don't really verbalize it very well, then, it's not going to be, it's not going to give you those results and everything that you need, and stuff. And so the, all kinds of things. Now, one of the things I'm getting into, more so like with ChatGPT and things like that, is ChatGPT is great for coding, coding and everything. So making gadgets and stuff for Vectric and all. And one of the gadgets I'm working on is a rotary calculator for rotary axis, and specifically inverse time mode rotary machining and everything, where it's not really controlled by inches per minute. It's more like, complete this action within, 0.5 seconds, that kind of thing, so that the rotation and the tip of the bit are nice, smooth movements and all that. Well, your machine's rotary motor has limits, and your CNC has, maximum rapid capabilities and things like that. And so what I'm hoping with my gadget here, and this is kind of a screenshot of my gadget, is that, one, you're able to put in, your model machine and you're able to apply that model's maximum settings and its motor settings and everything, you can choose from a variety of materials, a variety of bits, diameters, number of flutes, and then you can, basically come in and tell it, how much of my step over or how much of my plunge do I want to be, how much of my feed rate do I want my plunge to be? And it's typically 50% your feed rate is your plunge rate, or less, 50 to 40%. If you don't put a number in there, then it'll automatically calculate based off the chip load requirements and everything. But I like a 50%. I like my plunge rate to be 50% of my feed rate, and my rotary, let's say that my stock is 2 inches in diameter. When I calculate that, it'll calculate my chip loads used based off of my charts, the raw inches per minute, and the capped inches per minute. So if the raw inches per minute exceed your machine's capabilities, it's going to cap it at your machine's rapid rate, your machine's rapid rate. Spindle speed, your plunge rate, so 225 inch a minute feed rate, 126 plunge rate. The circumference of your stock, of course, and then it has your motor settings for your A-axis and everything, your speed, acceleration, and things like that you can program in the back end. And then if you need to test it, you can test it based on if you're running G94, which is regular inches per minute, or G93 inverse time mode. You can build a little code snippet, and you can bring that code snippet into your controller program and, give it a run, and, make sure that everything is working and functioning properly and all with your machine. But you can test it before you actually run your job. So I'm working on that calculator right now. I'm working on the cosmetics of it, the aesthetics of it, making it a little bit more pleasing. I've got there's going to be a feed preview. Right now there's an error because I'm literally in the middle of coding, so these buttons up here aren't functioning yet at the top, but everything else is. So that's some of the things I'm working on. I love making gadgets and stuff like that. I've played around with a few gadgets. I've improved on the finger joint gadget that was released by a gentleman a long time ago, many years ago, kind of updated it for version 12.5. Testing the wiring on a gadget, what makes the buttons fire and all that stuff. So like playing around and testing things like that. You can have a starter gadget just to kind of get, some practice in and all that stuff. So, when you're coding and everything. But yeah, so I'm into all that stuff. I'm having some fun with it. But the last little announcement I'm making is I got a new product that I'm working on right now. It just hot off the printers. It goes into testing, R&D testing this weekend. But I'm going to be releasing a tool height setter, for semi-automatic tool change and things for the digital wood carving machines. But it can work with any of the other machines too as well. But so stay tuned for that. I've got a new tool height setter coming out soon. And so that's kind of my announcements, and that's it. So what are the questions we have here? Hey, Adam, thanks, man. I appreciate that stuff. Hey, Laney, could you ever go over and oh, wait, hold on. I got to go back and answer Ronnie's question. Hey, Laney, could you explain to me what Omni Control is? Omni Control is our new user interface for our program. Let me pull this up here. Omni Control. And so let me file close. Let me close everything out and zoom out. All right. So Ronnie, I believe you have a 2440 if I'm not mistaken. And so this is the screen for Omni Control. Basically Planet CNC. It's powered by Planet CNC, the motion controller program, which your controller program, just like Mach 3, Mach 4, Meizo and all that, it's a combination of hardware and software, right? The hardware that makes your, the brain of your machine in a sense, and the software that the user interface on it and everything. Well, Planet CNC is the hardware and the software, and then Omni Control is the UI that I've developed that is powered by Planet CNC. So Omni Control all in one. So with Omni Control, if I'm running my laser that attaches to the CNC instead of the mill, I can engage laser mode, right? If I am running my rotary axis on my 2440, I can engage rotary axis settings, which on the 2440, you guys may or may not know, the router pivots 90 degrees because the fourth axis is mounted on the side. So instead of coming up and down on the table, it's mounted 90 degrees, just like you see in that little graphic there, and it comes off to the side as the part rotates, right? So when I engage those rotary axis mode and everything, it switches all the motors and stuff and all the settings for the motors so all the axes are appropriate. When I disengage rotary axis mode, then that means my router's back up normal and everything, right? The spindle mode, if I'm engaging, if I'm in laser mode, running, I can run the laser in rotary axis mode or running on the table, right? Or I can run the router or spindle and everything. So Omni Control gives me all of that, all in one encompassing, screen. So all I have to do is click a button, it changes the settings, and I'm ready to rock and roll. If I'm running my laser, if I'm running my spindle, if I'm running fourth axis mode, if I'm running regular mill mode and things like that. So Omni Control gives me that. Omni Control gives me the power, if I have the limit switch kit on my CNC, it gives me the power to set up coordinate systems. So in the offsets, I can set different coordinate systems and everything, meaning I can divide my table up into sections and I can set the coordinates for those sections. And when I'm carving one area, when that project's done, I can turn on coordinate system number 2 and go carve the project that's over there while I'm loading more material stuff in coordinate area number 1, and then vice versa. So if I have a large table, it's great. If I have a smaller table, it's, you might have 1 or 2 coordinates, but you wouldn't have 9 different coordinates or anything. And then on the right side, tool change, automatic tool change or semi-automatic tool change for those machines like the Mini Carver or the 2440 that don't, and the 2636 and 3648 for our machines that don't have actual tool racks. Semi-automatic tool changer, you're still the tool changer. So when you have a job that has multiple tools, when it's carving, when it's time to change tools, the router will raise up and come to you to a coordinate that's programmed into the software to a location like the front of the table. It'll prompt you to take out the bit number 1, put in your second bit and press OK when it's time, when that operation is complete, when you've changed bits. Once you press OK, it'll go and measure itself on the tool height setter, and then it'll continue carving. So everything is fully automated except for the tool change part in a semi-automatic operation. So Omni Control gives you the ability to set that up and everything with the digital wood carvers and all. And you can edit your G code on the fly. You can, if I on my G code, if I have a, let me come over here. If I write in my own G code, let's say I say G0Z0.800F100 or whatever the case may be, I can, put that in. If I have an existing G code, I can make changes on my feed rates and whatever, if I need to change something on the fly, but I can edit that all right here in the window. And then my output, whenever I do calculations or I do anything in my software, it's just a readout of what all I'm doing, what all is happening, and everything when things are calculated. So Omni Control, Ronnie, the update from the normal Planet CNC that we've had for years to this, you have a lot more features and things at your disposal and all that. So that's what it is. That's Omni Control. That is the controller program. The next question we had was Kurt. Kurt says, hey, Laney, could you go over how you would carve out a very thick job, what bits you would use, cut depths, and everything? A very thick job. So first off, we want to make sure that if you're, running a thick job, how thick is it? Do you have the travel height on your Z-axis for the material that you're wanting to carve? You've got to take into account the thickness of your wasteboard, the thickness of your material, how much router bit is sticking out of the router. Like, I got 1.5 inches of bit sticking out of the collet, right? And the Z gap above material, your home start position. When you hit start, how high the router bit raises up above the tip of the router bit, how high it raises up above the material before the router or spindle turns on and moves, right? All those numbers added together have to equal less than your Z's travel max, right? So if I have a 5-inch travel height, all those numbers have to be less than 5 inches, or when I hit start, it's going to go up and crash itself or run into its limit switch if you have limit switches and things, and stop itself and stuff. So number one, on the thick material, make sure that you've got it. Number two, is it thick because it's a two-sided project where I'm going to be carving through one side or the other? Or is it thick enough to where I have to kind of set it up as a two-sided job where I cut halfway through on one side, flip the board over, cut halfway through on the other, just because my bit might not be long enough to go through the entire project? If I only got 1.5 inches of router bit sticking out of my router and I have a 2-inch cut to make, not going to happen, all right? But I can absolutely cut halfway through on my profile cut on side one, and then I can flip that material over and cut halfway through on side two, 1 inch and 1 inch to cut out that 2-inch piece, right? So that would dictate why my job might be a single-sided versus a two-sided. If it's not like an actual two-sided job where I'm carving a chest piece or a picture frame, or I'm putting keyhole slots on the back of it. If I'm just carving out something that happens to be thicker than my capabilities, at the moment in time, because I can't have any more bits sticking out of my router, because if I have more bits sticking out of my router, I might not have the travel to be able to safely move above the material and all. So I can only have that bit sticking out so far, which you should only have it sticking out so far anyway, like a 1/4 inch of shank above your cutters is what you want exposed, 1/8 to 1/4. But anyway, don't have your bit like sticking out with only like that much in the collet kind of thing, But all these things come into play. And if I don't have enough, if I can't reach my depths for whatever reason, then I might have to set that job up as a two-sided job. So let's look at that on this job right here. Let's say that I have a 2.5 inch piece right here, right? Now, on my smaller machine, I can actually cut 2 3/8 inch thick material, but I can't reach that 2.5 inch. Now, I might be able to make some adjustments in my numbers. I might be able to just skim on my, Z height above material, my home start position, which that number, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is over on the toolpath side of the software under the set button at the very bottom, home start position, that Z gap above material. When you hit start, that's how high the tip of the bit raises above your wasteboard zero or your machine material surface zero, depending on what you're touching off on. But that's how high it raises up. And if you're referencing off the material surface, notice the word material surface. So that's how high above the material it's going to be. If I'm working off the wasteboard, it adds this number to how thick my material is, and that's how high it raises up above the wasteboard. But this number, I might have to bring this thing down to where I'm only traveling like 1/16 of an inch above the material, because I don't have enough room to move up, and because I want to try to maximize my cut. Otherwise, if I don't want to stress myself like that, I'll just do a two-sided job and cut through. So here, I can, on my material, I can still raise up 1/4 inch with my 2.5 inch thick piece. I can still raise up to 1/4 inch. So I would make sure that these three numbers are less than 1/4 or at 1/4. And then, I can set up my job. And in this case, this job would be a two-sided job for me if I was cutting on my smaller machine. My larger machine, I have 8 inches of Z height. And then, or one of my machines, I have 8 inches of Z height. And then I have 10 inches on the other. So, I'd be able to cut through But on my 2440, I only have 5 inches of travel. So here it would be a two-sided job, and I'll flip it front to back. I like a front to back y-axis flip. And let's say that just for right now, you know, let's say I was cutting this circle out and I'm doing a profile cut. Now on the cut depth, I'm just going to cut halfway, right? You know, so my 2.5, I'm going to just, you know, cut that in half and just cut halfway on one side, halfway on the other, and meet in the middle. That also makes it great for me if I'm using tabs, because tabs start at the bottom of the cut. So the bottom of side 1 and the bottom of side 2 is right there in the middle. So my tabs would fall right in the middle and everything. So I would come in here with my 1/4 inch end mill, let's say as an example. I would be cutting on the outside of the line, most likely on this, if I was cutting that shape out, and I would add tabs. My tabs, I like a 1/4 inch tab, so each side would be 1/8 of an inch. Top side, 1/8 of an inch, bottom side, for a total of a 1/4 inch. Sorry, that was I'm in the wrong box. For my length, how wide the tabs is, I like a 1/4 inch wide tab. On my thickness, I like an 1/8 inch tab. And so 16th on side 1, 16th on side 2, halfway through. So I might throw, you know, a tab here and here. And once I've created that and everything, I can then copy this to the other side, and it'll have the tabs with it, right? So the tabs will travel over with it on the other side. And so on side 1, you know, I'm only cutting 1.25 inches down, not stressing, you know, not getting too close and all that stuff with my collet head and a nut and all that. And then on side 2, rinse and repeat, profile cut. Probably could have copied the tool path over, but everything would be the same. Add tabs to the tool path. It would help if I selected the actual vector. Calculate the tool path, and then I can cut that halfway through. And then my tabs would be right there in the middle. That, you know, 1/8 inch thick tab would be in the middle of the part, 16th and a 16th on side 1 and side 2, right there, that center line in there, right? So on thick projects, that's how I would handle that. All right, really quickly, let's go back up and let's come down here to drag knife mode. I do have a drag knife. I have one of those simple, stupid tools. Stupid, simple tools, SST, whatever it stands for. Drag knife. And I'm not a drag knife expert, you know, by any means. But drag knife expert, or drag knife, is the same as, you know, mill mode, in a sense that the only thing that wouldn't turn on would be the spindle, right? Kind of deal. And so I could set up another button for drag knife mode to where the spindle doesn't fire. That wouldn't be a problem and all that stuff. And, you know, when it hits start and all. But yeah, it's just a matter of setting up a button and turning, you know, making sure that when I click that button, it doesn't turn on. So an example, just so you know, understand here. So if we look at, I'm in spindle mode right now. You can see the button is kind of highlighted with like a little bit of an orange highlight there. And if we look at my settings and we go to the spindle settings, the output speed, the 6, output 6 is what, you know, controls the RPMs of my spindle, 0 to 24,000. And in laser mode, that same spindle setting is output 2. Output 2 is what fires the laser from 0 to 100% of power and everything, right? So when I engage laser mode, it switches these numbers to 2, 0, and 100. And when I'm in spindle mode and I engage those settings, it changes those spindle settings to 6, 0, and 24,000, right? It also turns off the start delay for laser mode, because I don't want the laser sitting there burning and delaying for 15 seconds. but I want my spindle to delay for 15 seconds to allow it to get up to RPMs before it starts carving, right? So the click of the button activates that mode and changes the settings appropriately. So for drag knife mode, I would just have this, blanked out, right? So that it didn't turn on, and I would probably have this one blanked out as well, so that when I activate drag knife mode, it turns off those settings so the router or spindle doesn't turn on, right? That kind of thing. So very easy to set up a button to do that. I can add buttons anywhere to do that for sure. So I could do a drag knife mode if I wanted to, but it's not. I don't have a lot of users and all that use drag knives or anything, so it's not something that's come up right now and stuff. All right, so let's go down and let's see, Kurt. If all is equal, cutting out a double-sided job. No, not if all is equal. I could cut out a 1/4 inch deep on one side, 3/4 of an inch deep on the other on a two-sided job. It doesn't have to be equal. It doesn't have to be 1 and 1, right? I can cut part way through on one side and all the way through on the other, that kind of thing on the two-sided job. But I think I saw someone right here. You were asking questions last night about the zero plane, and I think you're getting your zero plane in your modeling confused with just your normal tabs. And zero plane have nothing to do with one another, right? So a tab has to do with your profile cut, and a tab is formed from the bottom depth of the profile cut up. So if my profile cut is a 1/4 inch deep and my tab is an 1/8 inch thick, at the bottom of that 1/4 inch cut, the tab starts there and comes up that 1/8 of an inch thick. So if I were to have an 1/8 inch tab on a 1/4 inch piece of material, but I set the cut depth to be 0.35 because I want it to cut all the way through, and I don't mind if I beat up my wasteboard, well, that's all well and good. No, it's not. Anyway, the tab's going to be at the bottom of that 0.35 cut. So then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there cutting, and it's like, oh, why is my part moving? Where'd my tabs go? Well, the tabs are formed at the bottom of the cut. So my piece is only a 1/4 inch thick. I had that bit cutting 0.3 inches deep. The tab was starting down here, so it wasn't holding my part at all. So tabs, they have a relationship with your profile toolpath, and they start at the bottom of the profile toolpath up. Your zero plane, that's for your modeling components and everything, your adjustment and all. Don't get the two confused. Okay. Zero plane and modeling plane are the same thing. Let's see here. Give me just a second. Who did a good job on that? I'm going to just give you this technical definition, but I was looking to see. Mark Lindsay had a conversation about zero planes and modeling planes. You can check out his videos. He has a couple videos on them. Vectric had a little bit of a discussion, but they're mostly on creating zero planes and stuff. But let me just give you this definition and everything, and see if this helps you out, right? A zero plane is a 3D component with no height that can be used to fix jagged edges and define the surface of a negative or concave area, right? So when we have like our dishes and domes and everything, and we create the zero plane, it creates that surface. Let me see if I can show that in here. So I'll turn this circle. You guys still with me? I'll turn this circle into a dish. Let's go with a 60-degree dish on this. All right. Now, here, okay, at the top of the dish is my zero plane, right? So this faint little area right here, it's basically virtually kind of, right now, it's kind of the top of my board, you know, this and everything. Well, if I were, because the material is dishing down, right? It's dishing below the zero plane. If I were to try to create the toolpath on this, my bit would want to travel in that dish. Let me come over here. The bit would want to travel in the dish and then down the side and everything. If I come in here and I add a modeling plane or a zero plane, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I got to hit apply first. Give me a second. I got to hit apply first. Okay. If I come in here and add a zero plane, then that creates my surface. Now I have a ledge. So now my bit will come and ride, and it'll ride the surface instead of trying to plunge down, right? And so it can be used to fix jagged edges. In this case, there was no edge, right? So, you know, jagged edges define the surface. That's what this did, define the surface of a negative or concave modeling, acting as a lid for the material, acting as a lid for the material, the zero plane, right? Now, a modeling plane is a 3D component with no height or thickness that is visually represents the tabletop of the material on which the model is built. The model's built on top of the modeling plane, right? So it's the tabletop that the model's being sculpted on, the bottom of the model, and it has no height and everything. Zero plane is my zero up here, and it can create that surface, that ledge and everything. Modeling plane is the base that the model's getting built on. And so it represents the model's been built on. The modeling plane is used for building models from the bottom up, while the zero plane is used to cap off and create a smooth surface at the top of the model. That's the difference between the two in the best AI explanation that I can give you, right? And it was just easier for me to pull that up. But there's other videos on it and all that. So modeling plane, bottom of the model that the model gets built on. Zero plane is the surface, the ledge, the top of the model that creates that ledge. This right here, this, right? That kind of thing. All right. That's about all I can. But don't get either one of those two confused with your tabs. Your tabs has to do with your profile cut. They're formed from the bottom of the cut up and have nothing to do with either of those two planes. Okay. Did that answer y'all? Did that satisfy y'all's hunger on that question? And I'll read it again slowly this time. A zero plane is a 3D component with no height that can be used to fix jagged edges, define a surface. It's the top part, right? Define a surface of a negative or concave model, just like you see in the picture right here in this model right here. It creates that surface. It's basically the lid of the material, while a modeling plane has no height or thickness, and its visibility represents the tabletop that the model's getting built on top of. So it's the foundation the model's getting built on top of. It doesn't really change that much. That's your modeling plane. And, and the modeling plane is used for building models from the bottom up, while the zero plane is used to cap or smooth the final surface. Boom. Boom. And the limit plane, That, the limit plane, is what allows the user to go from side 1 to side 2. And here's, I'll show you a classic example on a limit plane using one of my skateboard models that I used last night. Let's close this. Let's create a new file. Let's go 33 inches wide, 10 or long. Yeah. Sorry. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's fine. And 2.5 inches thick. Let's import a model. Now, this is where the limit planes are developed, okay? And it needs to be, hold on, before I import that model, let me hit cancel. I need to set it up as a two-sided job. So double-sided job. I'll flip along my y-axis. Now I'll import that model and the skateboard deck. Okay. And so first thing I have to do is I got to rotate it 90 degrees and I got to scale the metric down to inches. And then I got to center the model. Now, when that model is centered, it is a two-sided job. And so here, with that model centered and everything, let's look at the next screen, the position and import screen, and you'll see this black line here. This is the zero plane or modeling plane. Let me rephrase that. This is the modeling plane for side 1, and this is the modeling plane for side 2 if I had this flipped upside down, right? This line. So now, in order, if I had two-sided machining turned off, the view for two-sided machining turned off, and everything, then my bit would stop at the modeling plane. That's the foundation. That's the bottom of side 1. So it would stop here. The bit would not go past there with creating the model. But I need the bit to travel past the modeling plane, which is the foundation. I need to be able to go past the foundation and be able to get to the backside of this skateboard deck here at this bottom part. So that creates my overcut distance need or requirement for an overcut distance. In my case, I'll go 0.875. And that is what creates the limit plane. So when I import that model and it creates both sides, you can see here, I don't have two-sided viewing turned on. And you can see that, my modeling plane right here, the bit, is not going to be able to travel past that plane. It's going to just kind of curve and it's going to kind of just come straight out and curve and come straight out and curve, and everything. When I turn on two-sided modeling, two-sided view, so we can actually see, let me get this kind of turn here, so we can actually see both sides and everything. And we look here and all. This is my modeling plane right here, this faint little screen, if you will, for side 1. Let me flip it over. And this is the modeling plane for side 2, right? Well, in side 2, I need to be able to go past the modeling plane to get to this part of the cut, to carve and everything. And so I got to be able to travel a certain distance. And in my case, I set that limit to 0.875. So in our components, you'll see the limit plane here. And that limit plane, if I turn it off, okay, let me switch back over to the other side. It cuts everything off to here. Let me flip that off. So it won't allow me to go past this point, but with it on and everything, and two-sided viewing turned on, I got to turn on limit plane on the other side too. Turn that back on. Now, let me flip back over here. Now I can come in and the bit will be permitted to go past this plane to here. And my limit plane is set to that 7/8, right? So I can go, and if you look, when I'm in here, right, let me show you. Let me turn. Notice how on the limit plane, this pink area here, notice how there's a void there. it opened up that limit plane to let me pass through, or that modeling plane. It opened up that modeling plane to let me pass through so I can get down to that cut and everything and all. So it opened up those areas and everything so I can pass through by that 7/8 of an inch and everything. So the limit plane is how far past the modeling plane, 0, how far past I can go to carve that backside. Okay. Let's see here. So that's the limit plane. Limit plane allows me to go past the modeling plane to carve, that technically side 1 that's kind of curved down below that modeling plane. Okay. Cool beans. Great questions. Hopefully I'm answering them well for you and everything. Let's go here. Stephen, Maine, Stephen, the way it's spelled, right? Stephen Maine, in the Omni UI, is the Omni UI only available to DWC customers or available from Planet CNC? I use Planet on my machine and haven't downloaded an update for a while. I mean, the Omni Control user interface was designed and developed for the digital woodcarver CNC machines. All the settings and everything, all the buttons, all the coding for the semi-automatic tool change, the fully automatic tool change, all of that stuff has been designed for the machines, specifically all the way down to our 1824, 2440, 2636, 3648, 4848, and 5100 5x10, or 51 by 100 inch. So it's a digital woodcarver user interface. Step. Let's see here. Will my tabs be on my 0 plane? Yeah, they will be on your modeling plane. The bottom of your model, or the bottom of your profile cut. So it depends on where your cut is going to be. And when you're working with models, brother, you have 3D modeling tabs in your clip art. You can use those. If you're worried about, where your tabs are going to be, put them in. Put in those. You got 3D round tabs, flat tabs, semi-circle tabs, and everything in your clip art. Yes. Is it ready? Come on in. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Coffee. I've got a long night ahead of me. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay. It's crazy drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night, right? Tabs are going to be at the bottom of your profile cut. So wherever that's going to be, I don't know how many times I can repeat that. So they're not technically going to be at the bottom of your 0 plane or the bottom of your modeling plane. They're going to be at the bottom of your profile cut depth, whatever that is, right? That's where they're going to fall and everything. And if you need them in a certain spot, put in the 3D tabs from your clip art. And really, that's about the best I can answer it. I wish I had a better answer, but that's the best I can answer that. Okay, so if I look at, and here's another question, and these are great questions, by the way. If I looked at the plane as being the table my job sits on, what plane is that? Modeling plane. The surface that your model's being built on is the modeling plane. The 0 plane creates the smooth cap, the top, the surface, the contours and all. It's the 0 plane creates that, that cap, that closure of the model. Modeling plane from the bottom up, you know. So if you're at the question in your case, if I looked at the plane as being the table my job sits on, that plane is the modeling plane. Is it movable? No. Your zero plane is movable. Your modeling plane is what your model sits on. Let's see here. That was a good question. I really like those. Those were great questions, Kurt. Really, really good. It gets confusing for sure. I know that. Yeah. Let's see here. I know. Ronnie, how's everybody? Hey, JR, thanks for popping in. Sorry, I just saw you popped in. I'm scrolling down the chat looking for the questions. Good to see you, bud. All right, Brooks Martin. Let me see here. This is a good question. This is kind of a play on it. So the limit plane is renamed zero plane with a base height not equal to 0. No. No, Brooks. The zero plane, in the case of a two-sided job, it's the middle, right? So side one, I can only see side one, right? You know, when I have, let's say my phone here, I don't have any, I have a board here. Okay. So the middle of my project, you know, I'm flipping this as a two-sided job, right? So about halfway of my project is my zero plane. And so I can see side one, but I can't see side two. It's, you know, it's 0, you know, kind of on that side one. When I flip it over, I can see, you know, the side two, and I can't see side one. Well, the limit plane allows me to see through, right? So it allows my bit to travel through down to that, you know, whatever. If I set the limit plane to a 1/2 inch, then my bit has permission to travel past the zero plane by that 1/2 inch. So it will show or reveal, the limit plane will show that 1/2 inch below the zero plane. It'll show that 1/2 inch of that model as side one. So now my bit can get down there and carve that area. If it was an inch, if it was a 1/2 inch, 3/4, my bit can now go down. It has permission. That's side one now. So my limit plane and everything. So my zero plane is like the center, and then my bit has to be able to go past it. Think of it almost like a foundation at the middle, right on the two-sided job. My bit has to be able to go past it to get to that back side of, you know, that's something of a part of the model that's below it, right? So that's the limit plane. How far is my bit permitted to go? Okay. On the model, working with the modeling toolpaths, 3D rough, 3D finish, you know, those toolpaths. Not a profile cut. If I wanted to cut all the way through on a profile cut, I cut all the way through on a profile cut, a pocket cut, and all that. This is modeling, 3D rough, 3D finish. How far can my bit permitted to go? So it can go a 1/2 inch past my zero plane. So that limit plane is a stop gap, if you will, or stop saying, hey, yes, you can go through, but you can't go past this point. That's the limit plane. Now the modeling plane is still the bottom of the model, right? What the model is being built on, the foundation, the modeling plane is still the floor of the model, right? So it's still down here. My zero plane's in the middle, and my limit plane is somewhere below that zero plane to allow the bit to travel through. You know what I mean? And I have two limit planes. I have one that allows me to go halfway through beyond, you know, let's say I have a 1/2 inch limit plane. I have one limit plane that allows me to go through my zero plane down to that 1/2 inch limit on side one. And then when I flip it over, the zero plane is still the middle of the board, and I have another limit plane for side 2 that's a 1/2 inch down where my bit can go down past that 0 plane to get to the back side of the part on side 2. So I have 2 limit planes. You know, they're from side 1 and side 2. They're 2 separate things. But my modeling plane is still what the model's sitting on, and my 0 plane is still the middle of the board, in this case on a 2-sided job. Make sense? It's like, woo! All right. And I should have done that while I was all like right here, right? So you can see. So when I was doing this, and I'll just do it really quickly here. So modeling plane, the model, you know, the skateboard deck's still sitting on the model. It's getting built from the bottom up, even though it's a 2-sided job. It's still at the bottom here. I got dog hair on my board. 0 plane still in the middle. Limit planes for side 1 is a 1/2 inch. If I set a 1/2 inch limit plane, it's a 1/2 inch below that 0 plane, so my bit can go past it. When I flip the board over, my 0 plane is still in the middle, and my limit plane for side 2 is a 1/2 inch down below that, so I can go past it, right? So I have 2 limit planes, one for side 1 and one for side 2. I have 1 0 plane, which is the middle of the board, and I have 1 modeling plane, which is what the whole dang thing is sitting on. Oh, it is pronounced as Stephen. All right, Stephen Main. How you doing, bud? I appreciate that. Sorry about screwing up your name. All that. Laney, you're shedding. I got hair all over my wood. My board. All right. Oh my God, good coffee. Okay, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I just needed a sip of coffee. Okay, so has anybody ever watched on YouTube or something and ever seen I don't know what show it is, where it's a British show that you'll see little video clips of it, of all the actors, American or British actors, are on this show. It's like a little talk show and everything. It's really funny and everything. Tom Hanks was on that show once, and so was Tom Holland. And Tom Hanks was explaining about acting and directors and things like that. And he had Tom Holland. He said, "Here, you say the line, coffee, coffee, can I have more coffee?" And I'm going to tell you, you know, to give me more, you know, let's do it with a little bit of passion. Let's do it with this. And so every time I drink coffee, that's the only thing that pops in my head is Tom Holland going, "Coffee, coffee, Tom Hanks, please give me more coffee." Anyway, okay. So that's the only thing that pops in. I don't know why, but that's what pops in my head. And so let's see here. All of the grief with no relief. I hear you. Does the 0 plane allow tilt or fading? Does the 0 plane allow tilt or fading? So your model and everything can be tilted. Let's look at the skateboard deck as an example and everything. So I'm on the top side here, side 1. And let's come here, look at the side. And if I turn off side 2, notice how it filled in that whole bottom, right? You know, and everything, because, you know, I don't have 2-sided modeling on. When I have 2-sided modeling on, the models, the 2 sides merge together to create that, you know, that skateboard deck, right? That kind of thing. But anyhow, so if I had it off, notice how just to kind of reiterate what I was saying to you, this is the modeling plane down here, right? So if 2-sided was off, the deck down here, that's my modeling plane. This model is getting built on top of that modeling plane. You know, even though it's a 2-sided job, when I turn it on, the 2 sides and everything, it's still there. The modeling plane is still at the bottom of this model, right? This little faint gray area here, that's the 0 plane, this little lightly, what's it called? What's it called? Opacity. When you turn down the opacity so you can see it through, opaque, whatever. But this faint, like, that's still the 0 plane. But if I turn off 2-sided, you can see the modeling plane because it's the bottom of the model. It's what the model gets built off of, right? Okay. So anyway, tilting or fading. So in this component, let's get centered up here. In this component and everything in the properties, I can still tilt So let's say that I come over here and this will be my side one. When you tilt, the first click is the thin part of the wedge. The second click is the thick part of the wedge. Okay, and if I turn on that tilting and all, I can tilt up. Now, on that tilt, this is still my zero plane. That's still the original zero plane there. This is down here, this my limit plane, so the bit can still go past to carve that back side and everything. But my tilt, that 5-degree tilt, is from the zero plane. I tilted that model up on this end from that zero plane. So we got, you know, from there, right? So if I come down to 1 degree, if I come down to, you know, here, I am tilting that whole side up. And I shouldn't say, you know, I shouldn't say it's from the zero plane. It's from the, you know, the top, the model, you know, it tilts up and everything. But the question is, so the wait, let me turn that question off. That's not the right question. Hide message. Right here. Doesn't the zero plane allow for tilting or fading? You're not tilting from the zero plane, or you're not fading from the zero plane and everything. It's from the, you know, the part. So if I turn it off, I want you to watch closely here. Here's the zero plane right here. And if I turn the fading off, the part can go below that zero plane, right? It's the bottom of the part. So the zero plane doesn't move, right? Still the middle of that two-sided job, in a sense, right? So tilting or fading, it doesn't occur from the zero plane. We're tilting and fading from the modeling plane, if you will. And if I fade, let me see if I fade here. If I fade from keep that fade where you first click is what you want to keep. Second click is what you want to fade into, right? And the turn that fading off. All right, so if I fade, now watch what happens here. You know, if I fade, there's right, my modeling plane is down here. Remember now, the modeling plane is the bottom of this two-sided model. It's the bottom, not the middle, the bottom, right? The foundation. Now, on this model here, there's a void there because it, you know, it's got that curve up, right? So it's hollow right here, right? It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's above. This is the middle of the board, the zero plane, right? Or the middle of this project. This and it's my project model piece. My blank wood is 2 2.1/8 inch thick, I think. What was my height? Hold on. 2.5 inches thick. So it's that 1 1/4 inch right there. That's that plane. Well, when I fade, watch here what happens when I fade. I'm fading down. Well, there's no wood right there. Once I fade, I'm fading down, you know, and everything. And so I'm fading away. And now on the fade, I'm fading into, you know, this is side one I'm looking at. What I'm looking at here is all the stuff in side two. So if I turn off two-sided machining, you know, I'm fading down to that zero plane. Okay, so the fading fades me down to the zero plane, right? Because you know, everything on the top part fades to there. And so on the tilt, I'm tilting from the model plane okay. Fading fades to the zero plane, modeling tilts from the, or tilt is from the modeling plane. Okie dokie. Did y'all see that? Do I need to zoom in more? So I'm tilting from this plane. This is the modeling plane, the tabletop that my model's getting built on, right? So I'm tilting up from, but when I fade, let me turn this off. When I fade, I'm fading to the 0 plane. Fading to that 0 plane. Okie doke. Okie doke. Don't you need to make the 0 plane a component in order to give it base height and everything? The 0 plane is a component. It's a component with 0 height. And so if I come in and like physically fill that in, I have now given my 0 plane structure. I made it a component, right? Instead of a virtual plane defining side 1 and side 2, allowing me to go past and everything, I've now given the 0 plane body. And if I give that 0 plane height, now I'm giving it height, right? I'm on that side 1, I'm building up, right? On side 2, if I had one on side 2, I'd be building that way. Side 1, and you can't see me. I'm doing hand movements and you can't see what I'm doing here. Hold on, I'm making all kinds of cool hand gestures. You can't see what I'm doing. So on that modeling plane, I've given it structure. Now I've made it a component. I've given it body, right? It's no longer a virtual plane that I can, go with the limit. I can go past it and all that, but it's no longer a virtual plane. It's now a component in there. And that component, I've given it a 1/2 inch body. If it was 0, it's still a component now. I've officially made it a component and everything. And so if I build that up and all, it takes away all that. But if I build that up 0.5, I'm building up on that side 1. If I flipped it over and added a 0 plane on side 2 and then built it and made it a component and built it up, I'd be building up the other way, right? From that middle kind of thing. Okie doke, okie doke. If you do not have it as a component, you didn't physically give it structure, then it's a virtual. Let me come over here. It's a virtual plane defining side 1 and side 2. All right. Hopefully that answers all the questions, and probably not all the questions on those 3 planes, but hopefully that answers most of them. Okay. Let me close out of this, come back over here. Yeah, the skateboard deck. Sorry to belabor the issue. Hold on a second, Brooks. Hold on. Give me a second. To argue or elaborate in excessive detail. No, you're fine. I had to look up the word, Brooks. I had to look up the word. I had to look up belabor. No, that's good. Excessive detail is important. That's how you learn, right? You got to have details. If you don't have enough detail, you don't There's nothing to learn. But I had to look up the word belabor. That was funny. Okay. It's not one that comes around every so often. That's funny. Thank God for ChatGPT on my other screen. I am with ChatGPT. It's a love-hate relationship in a lot of cases. We get along, and you know, I've cloned myself, so I have a GPT bot named Lainey that's a sales rep that you know works for me. I've got 70 bots that super bots that work for me, that do things for me and stuff, from pricing strategies to content creation to you know, doing quotes and things like that. So I have a whole team force of bots. But it's so funny when I'm talking to myself. Hey, Lainey, how are you doing this morning? I got a new quote request, and you know, I'm teaching and training it, and voice cloning. And now the new thing that I'm about to start doing. Let's see if did I leave that tab up? Was I smart enough to leave that tab up? No, I wasn't. But I'm getting ready to take an AI Academy course online, of course, for that's going to take it to the next level. You know, if you're, you know, I know there's some people that are kind of they're at the stage in life where, hey, you know, I'm not, you know, I've done all I'm going to do. I don't need to learn this new tech and all that stuff. I'm kind of, you know, I'm coming to the downhill slope of my life where I'm just, you know, I'm at the age of retiring and all. And so it really doesn't affect me and everything. And then there's those that, you know, that are at that age and all, jump on board and learn AI, everything that you can, interact with it and stuff like that, because the early adapters and everything on the AI, those are the ones that are going to be millionaires, you know, and everything. And now the word millionaire, it doesn't take long to become a millionaire. It's not as hard as it used to be back in the day. You know, when I was doing my other YouTube channel, I had a net worth of $5 million. Now I have a net worth of, if you look at my latest stats on, because I quit my other channel, now I'm just doing this, and I don't get paid as much on this channel from Google and YouTube and all that stuff. But I now only have a net worth of a few $1,000s, right, kind of thing. So I went from back in 2010, 2011 and everything, 2012, it wasn't hard to, you know, to make it. And then I stepped away from it all to care for a family member and all. But long story short, if I have 70 AI bots, there's like they're employees, and they all they read my emails, they answer my emails, they go into my LinkedIn, they answer comments, and they, you know, they interact all on their own. They are super bots. They are not alive, but they read emails, they answer emails, they do all the stuff and everything for my business. They run, you know, they help me run the business and everything. So all I have to do is just monitor them and everything. But I've trained each and every one of them to do what, you know, needs to be done, to the ins and outs of the business and all that. And, you know, I'm hoping that, that it's going to help me build my company and get back on top again, because I'd love to be able to get my teeth fixed and things like that. I can't afford stuff like that anymore, but you know, so it's crazy. And the last week and everything, when I was out in the hospital and the you know, in the hospitals and everything, I racked up $15,000 in medical bills in those 2 weekends of you know, procedures. It's like, you know, kind of thing. So I had to, but while I was out, my business still had to run. And I'm not talking about the digital woodcarver part of the business where I handle all sales and support. I'm talking about my business, Build It TV LLC. So, things have still got to, keep moving, and everything. So I haven't set up AI. I don't have a bot yet to work with YouTube. That's why I'm still making the live streams late, not on time. I don't have the schedule laid out yet. I don't have it. It's still me, so I got to wait till I'm done with all my customer calls to make my class to get it all done, and it's all last minute. That's going to be next. But adopt it because it's not hard to. You would think it's impossible. It's a big number and all, but it's nowadays it's not. For God's sake, you got girls doing TikTok dances making $1 million just for doing that dance on TikTok and shit. But anyhow, that would be cool. That would be cool to. That would be a cool class on bots. Yeah. And let's see here. Hold on a second. Give me just a minute. And go to my other browser. We'll log in. Let's see. That is that one. And log in. Right. Stand by 1 more second, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the delay. Got to learn my own email address. All right. So I'll show you a little bit of my dashboard and everything. Okay. So just to kind of give you an idea, on the side of things, let's go here real quick. So back when it was just coming out, right? So the Ultimate AI Toolkit, the Ultimate AI ChatGTP Bible. The ChatGTP Bible is basically a course in creating prompts from content strategy development to blog and article writing, social media content creation. There's email marketing, social media marketing, conversion rate optimization, copywriting, growth hacking, all of these things, right? So these are all courses that I've completed over this last, years and everything. Human resources, job skills writing, and there's some things that you do use, some things that you don't use, right, and things like that. But from there, learning Microsoft Copilot or Perplexity or Google's, I know Copilot is Microsoft, Google is Gemini, and then you have Grok. I think it's Grok for why can't I think Elon Musk, right? And so on the on my bots here, I'm already signed in, dude. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let me refresh. I've already signed in. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Gmail. Oh, don't be a pain in the butt, guys. One more time. Okay. And that's good for the safety and everything. But, you know, like with, you know, Vinny, I'll introduce you to the guys and all. But Stella is my social media bot. Vinny is my virtual assistant. Cody helps me with copywriting. We've got, where is Nico, Xavier? Bobby is, he's my onboarder. So anytime that I need to train a new bot or something like that, Bobby helps me onboard the bot and, you know, and things. Let's go back to my business here. So Oliver and I, Oliver is my pricing strategy bot to help me. Oh, sorry. Our 911 system is down. You can only text 911 right now. But let's see here, content creation. Now, Sage is my summarizer bot. If I go back, let me see where my chats are with Sage. Sage. So conversations I would have with Sage and everything would be, get back up here to the top. These are, anytime I have a document and everything or what have you, Sage will summarize that for me, and it will create things like, you know, survey questions or anything like that. She will work with me. And then Stella is she's a hard worker. She will, if she pops up here, they've been real slow lately. Come on, Stella. But Vinny will create flyers for me and things like that when I need. Dina, she helps with my content creator. CV is he's Google driven, so he logs in and he does all my Google Drive stuff and everything. But yeah, so these guys are hard workers. They do their job really well. So from support to all kinds of things, sales and communication and content creation. Orion's pretty cool. But yeah, so get on it, ladies and gentlemen, get on it. And go from there. All right. So yeah, we could you know, have a class, but here I'll show you Lainey real quick. Lainey, hold on a second. There, I don't have a virtual me yet, but Lainey is my quote community builder. He handles all the quotes and everything, and all. So the Lainey 5.1, but handles all the quotes and emails and stuff like that. You know, knows all my specials and promotions going on with the machines and things. So we got our November promotion and stuff. So Lainey is, I've always said I wanted to be able to duplicate myself. so they could do more things. So I've trained Laney to do Laney 5.1 to do what I do, to help me do what I do. So while I'm working on one task, Laney can work on another. And it's funny saying that way, but it's true. So if I am working on sales promotions, but I'm also working on emails, I can multitask. And I've trained, literally trained, spent hours and hours and hours and hours talking to it, feeding it, past my past videos, all my, web history and everything. So it knows me and it knows what I do and knows everything about me. And so it's my little, it's me duplicating myself. Oh, anyway. All right, let's see here. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? I lost a lot of y'all in that whole little chat. Y'all faded off into the distance. Let's talk shop with Russ tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And let me see here. Old Russy boy. Russ. Facebook. Yeah, so let's talk shop with Russ, right? So we're going to talk, we'll talk a little Planet CNC, Vectric, Digital Woodcarver. So tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Russ's channel, let's talk shop with Russ. And I'll paste a copy of his URL. I'll find him on YouTube and I'll paste the URL on there. So, join us for that. That should be fun. He has about 8 or 10 guys that get up on the screen. And it's Simply Wood Creations. Simply Wooding Creations is the channel. Here is the URL for the channel. Let's go back to the chat. And I'll paste it in there. Yep, got a link. He'll post the live event link in a little bit, but that's the link to the channel where it's going to be. And JR has got a question above. Let's go back up. I didn't see a question mark, JR, so let me find it. That would be, I saw a question mark. That would be even a cool class on bots. Let's see. When I had my cat bite with a beginner year. Oh, yeah, I know that one. Let me see. Did I miss it? Is it below that? I wish I would. Yeah. All right. Hold on a second. That's JR. Laney, I posted a question above. So I'm not seeing that. Give me a second. Let me go back up. I saw Kurt's question. Hey, Laney, can we talk about some Lua? Looking to see a complete listing on parameters. I can access, i.e. bid information, runtimes, actual versus Vectric versus Planet. So in the, if I use Notepad++, Notepad++. Let me go bigger here for a second. That's the wrong screen. Hold on a minute. Let's go bigger here for a second. I use Notepad++. And so you have your Lua code. Slow down there, boy. You have your Lua coding. And then you have your window, right? The window, the frame that everything is in, that's the HTML code. That's what creates all the little buttons and, the frame and the layout and everything. So you have your HTML code as well as your Lua code. And then your helper codes, which are called JSON, JSON codes and all. And so I have a JSON file, .json, that has all of my machine models currently. And I could add more models to it, but right now I just have the Digital Woodcarver models in there. I have a JSON file for the material types. So softwood, hardwood, plywood, MDF, PVC rigid, acrylic, and aluminum. Then I also have my chip load table. So my chip load table has the softwood. Just because I said softwood, it's all the softwood, right? That's just to keep things simple and narrow down, but it's all the softwood, right? And then, the bit types, the type of end mill, ball nose, taper, the things that you might cut your softwood with, and then their diameters, flutes, and then what the chip load is, for those particular bits for that material. Your hardwood is the category, the name, but the aliases would be all the hardwood, right? All the hardwood. So, and just because it's, you choose hardwood, it's that category. So instead of having a list that when you open it up, it opens up a million things, you create this JSON file, and then you have your name, which is what you're going to see in the drop down menu. And then in my case for hardwood, I like my plunge rate percentage to be 0.4, 40%. Okay, of the feed rate. So that's the default setting for the plunge rate percentage, PCT. And so the aliases are all the hardwoods. And then we come down to plywood. I've got just basically for plywood on those and everything. I don't have the aliases set up for birch, plywood, aviation. It's airplane. Is it airplane? Is it called airplane or aviation plywood? But it's what they, it's the really lots of layers and everything. But I don't have all the different plywoods down and everything. MDF, again, there's no aliases for MDF. It's just MDF, right? For PVC, just rigid PVC. For the acrylic, it's just acrylic, and then aluminum's T661. So 6061. I'm not doing all the different numbers of aluminum, just 6061 is what I mostly work with. O-flute bits and all. So that alias there and everything, that is the list that when I run something or run a calculation and stuff in my Lua, let's go back to the Lua file. So if any of my lists become unavailable, it's important to have a built-in list. So in the Lua code, I have a built-in list. In the event that my JSON doesn't load properly for some reason, kind of faults out or whatever the case may be, then my built-ins are the backup, so the gadget doesn't crash. And so I have a built-in for the models and everything, and then the calculations for that, load the model from the JSON file, and it'll create when I load the model. Let me show you the gadget in Vectric. When I load the gadget and all, when I select a model and hit apply model, it'll apply the motor settings and the maximum feed rate. And if I want to override any of these settings on this 50-to-1 gear ratio on that rotary axis, this is my rotary axis calculator. If I want to override, if it's a different, ratio than 50-to-1, I can override that. But if I leave it 0, it's just going to use my default, calculations and all. But I can ping, my little backups and everything. I can ping to, it tells me what model I have loaded. I can diagnose. I got a diagnostic button, if anything crashes, to make sure that, all 6 of my models loaded properly. And the one I'm using is the 3648 right now. The material I have chosen down here is softwood. The bit is a flat end mill, 1/4 inch, 2 flutes. And it read it from the 7 loaded materials and all that. And then I have a self-check. It's all about diagnosing, right? So these buttons and all. So it, on the self-check, it found the chip load for the bit that I chose, right? And everything. And it found that default plunge rate of 40%. So when I choose, the type of material or bit or what have you, when I come down here, if I don't override the plunge rate, I like a 0.5, it's going to use the 0.4 default, right? And so, and then I need to tell it how big the diameter of my stock is. Let's say it's 3 inches. And when I calculate that, you know, it'll calculate the chip load, the feed rate, my machine's, you know, it's my machine. If it caps out, and on this particular machine I have chosen, it's a 400 inch a minute feed rate. If it were to exceed 400 inches a minute, it'll cap it out at 400. But in this case, the 252 inches a minute doesn't cap out. 18,000 RPMs. My plunge rate is going to be 50% of that, 126 inches per minute. My circumference on that 3 inch is 9.42. And then these are my motor settings and everything that I would go into my software, and I would go into the settings and go down to motor, and in the steps, the speed, I would change the speed accordingly. And, you know, based on degrees per minute, and the acceleration according to degrees, you know, per second squared, and also the, you know, the steps per unit, the steps per degree. So all of that stuff I can program in now, based off the calculations of the, you know, the gadget and everything. So the steps per degree, and the A-axis, you know, speed settings, the steps per minute or steps per second, you know, that kind of thing. So this gadget is going to be, and then if I want to test those settings, I can, based off those settings, I can build a short small little snippet, and I can come in and copy that snippet and bring it over, and I can come over to edit G code. Let's get rid of this and hit copy and paste. I can bring that snippet in, zero out my machine and everything, and then run the little sample test, you know, make sure that everything spins smoothly and all that stuff and everything. So that's what that gadget is going to do for my, and then also as far as rotary, even on the flat carbs and stuff, I can choose my bit settings, and my step over settings, and it'll give me, you know, my inches per minute and all that stuff for my bits and all that stuff too. On the flat carb, it doesn't necessarily have to be rotary, but the rotary, you know, allows me to, you know, test for my inverse time mode and all that stuff. Whew. Yeah. So that's that. So as far as the Lua, I mean, the main thing is to go into, let me come in back into here. The main thing is to go into, bear with me. Hang tight for just a second. Virus quarantine. The main thing is to bear with me. Lua. Right here. Okay. So the key thing is to understand, you know, Vectric. Lua is a scripting language. Vectric uses Lua for its gadgets and everything. And Vectric, you know, for the most part, all the Lua coding is acceptable, but Vectric has their own little nuances. And they have, you know, different things that are important for the, you know, being able to, you know, like the materials and settings and everything. So you really need to scan through and understand this. And this is where ChatGPT is your best friend. Okay. So, and ChatGPT can help, like Sage is my summarizer. So Sage can read this 222 page document and summarize it for me. ChatGPT can read this document, and when I'm writing code, if there's anything ChatGPT can help me with the code, it can absolutely help me write it and all that stuff. All I have to do is tell it what I want it to do. But it can follow those standards, right? and everything. And so as we get, past all the table of contents, right, it's very important that we, adhere to Vectric's requirements, and it changes from version to version now to like things that were allowed in Vectric 11, Vectric 12.5, and now it worked in the older versions, the what do we call them, legacy versions, right? Versions. But now in 12.5, the code's got to get changed it's got to be tweaked and all that stuff. So it's important to know that stuff. And it's hard. I mean, this is a 222-page document. There's samples and everything in here on the code writing, and you can see examples on what to do. And I'm luckily right out of high school. I mean, I built websites for companies and everything. And so coding it's a hobby for me. I love coding. All the scripts and everything, writing those scripts for, which is a completely different language. And now it's using Python and stuff too with Planet CNC, but writing all those scripts. So switching from, and I use Notepad++, for this, but creating the post processor with Vectric, to creating the gadgets, to creating the code for Planet CNC, for the different machines and everything. That's a different language than Lua and all that stuff. It's not all the same. So you got to keep it straight, but I have all my tabs open. I'm straight. I know, but all these things play well with each other, right? So this Planet CNC calculator, in Lua, this rotary calculator, I need in Planet CNC, when someone's calculating their tool, their rotary axis steps per unit and everything, I want them to be able to use it in Planet CNC as well. So I'm writing the code for that and everything. It's a short code, and everything like that. But when they're in here and they open the rotary calculator, they should be able to put in their size of their stock and click OK, and then it'll configure the motors automatically. It goes back and sets the settings. And if I click OK on that and we look at the output, let's make this maximize this out. But on that calculation, based on that diameter stock and the steps per unit for the big pulley on my belt, on my rotary axis, and the little pulley, the equations and everything that are done, it sets the motor and it sets the steps per degree on the motor settings automatically. So it set all those settings. It calculated and set it. So that's what I want. I want, to be able to set my settings just by the click of a button kind of thing. And all of that started with a spreadsheet, Google Sheets. So or Excel, whatever you want to use, right? So here, I built the spreadsheet. Material, bit type, diameter, flutes, chip load, RPMs for the spindle, feed rate, plunge rate percentage, all that stuff, and then made the drop downs based off the list, right? So here's my list, my material list, my bit types, the most common diameters, the number of flutes, and then here's the models of the machines that I'm working with, and here's their maximum feed rates, their gear ratio, the motor steps per unit, and the micro stepping on the drivers, right? So all that's in the list. And on the chip load table, hardwood, the bit types, the diameter, and then the chip load per tooth and the plunge rate, and then some general notes and stuff like that. And where the sources come from, off the all these Onsrod, Amana, different manufacturers' guides. You can get those chip loads and you can pull those numbers from there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel and stuff for those different bits. Whiteside has a chip load chart and all that stuff. And so in the spreadsheet, once I was able to, like if I come in here and choose softwood, and I'm using a upcut end mill that is an 1/8 inch in diameter, and it's a 2 flute. my spindle speed, let's say I want to run this at 14,000 RPMs, and I want to run a feed rate of 100 inches a minute and all, it will calculate my motor settings for my rotary axis here, and my circumference on my stock, and then, you know, my steps per degree and everything that goes in my software and all. So once that was figured out in the spreadsheet and the concept worked, I couldn't just send the spreadsheet out to the world because not everybody has Google Sheets. Not everybody has Microsoft Excel. So, but once I got the, you know, the spreadsheet functioning, then I take those same calculations and everything and put them into the, you know, the Planet CNC if I want the calculator to be there, which I've done, you know, and then into the Lua, you know, scripting and all the, you know, the formulas and stuff, transferring them over, but just in Lua language. And if you don't know the Lua language or anything, then ChatGPT is very much capable of writing your entire thing for you. You tell it what you want, it'll output what you need. Best $30 a month you'd ever spend, kind of thing, right? Sounds like crashes and bit breakage was the mother of this creation. Well, no, actually, the mother of this creation was a customer that does strictly rotary axis carving, or not strictly, but he's mainly now focusing on rotary axis carving, trickled into inverse time mode, which Vectric introduced in version 11, I believe it was, to where you can set your post-processor for inverse time mode. And they talked a little bit about it in the what's new in Vectric and things, but they didn't really go into a lot of detail. Well, in inverse time mode, if you don't tell your machine software, the controller software, to operate in G93 instead of G94, G94 is inches per minute. But when you have a G code, bear with me. Here's a finish cut toolpath G code from Planets or from Vectric, inverse time mode. The feed rates 10,418.6. 10,418.6. 62,483.3. 10,418.6 feed rates, right? Feed rates. Well, if you don't tell your machine that you're running inverse time mode in G93 and you don't set it to G93 and it's running G94, it thinks that you're running that as inches per minute. And of course, your machine's only capped out at whatever your machine can run, 500 inches a minute, 200 inches a minute, 1,000 inches a minute, whatever your machine's max, rapid rate is. So all of a sudden things just start getting all jittery and jumpy and crazy and all that stuff. Because it's trying to run 62,000 inches a minute, and the rotation and the feed of the bit tip is not, all equal. But when you change it to G93 in your controller and it knows now it's running, now it's going to look for that F code at the end of every line. That's why the F code's at the end of every line. And now it knows how to do that calculation. Your software and your machine knows how to do that calculation, that it's saying, complete this task, this line, complete this thing within this many seconds. Go from point A to B within 0.5 seconds and that kind of thing. And so those numbers actually mean something. And if you're ever curious about inverse time mode, I'm not the expert on inverse time mode by any means whatsoever, but I did have a conversation with bear with me a second. Inverse. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Inverse time calculations. I did have a conversation with ChatGPT where I said, hello, ChatGPT, what's your knowledge on CNC machining and G-code? Hey, Lainey, I've got great, deep, in-depth knowledge. And so I said, I understand, or it said it understands this, and it told me what it could help me with, right? And so in my conversation and everything, I said, okay, I have a rotary job where the G-code is inverse time mode enabled, right? So got the controller running in G93, but I'm confused on inverse time mode and I need more thorough understanding of it. All I know is what the manual tells me and about inverse time mode, but I don't understand the math behind it. And so ChatGPT very simply broke down the math behind it for me. So it tells me what inverse time mode is. Complete, from point A to B in this many seconds or this many minutes, or it's a time thing. It's not an inch per minute thing. It's completely different. And once I was able to see the math and see the example breakdowns, this is all GPT, and it's helping me. It's teaching me. So once I spent, a few hours understanding the math behind it, how it looks at when I set 120 inch a minute, when I set 80 inches a minute, what it does, what inverse time mode equates that to, then I was like, oh, okay, light bulb on. It makes sense. Now I get it. Before I didn't get it. I was like, where the heck does 64,000 come from? What's that number? And what does it relate to and all that stuff? And so once I understood, and ChatGPT gives me a quick analogy. Think of G94, the normal feed rate, drive 60 miles an hour. And let me zoom this in. I want everybody to be able to see this. So here's an analogy. G94, regular inch per minute. I'm telling the machine drive 60 miles an hour, okay, in regular inch per minute feed rate. Well, in G93, that's me saying drive from here to there in 30 seconds. Okay. The second one doesn't care how far it is, right? The inverse time mode, it just controls the time for that segment. Complete that segment of code, that line of code, that whatever, in this time frame. 5 seconds, 0.5 seconds, 1 second, whatever, right? And so, in those analogies and everything, and so I was able to show it my G code, and it was able to look at my G code and break it down to my machine and everything. And it was able to analyze it. And then it was able to, in the analysis and all, it was able to pull the numbers from my G code and then explain to me where that number comes from, what it's doing and everything. So the length or the linear distance is alpha x squared plus alpha y squared plus alpha z squared plus alpha a times the radius, right? And 2 times the length. So, and I went to school. I know trig, I know math and all that, but it wasn't until I was able to kind of understand it and everything. So now we break it down. So on the 120 inches a minute that I set, it's basically the length is that 120 is 120 minutes in inverse time mode. And so then it breaks it down, that kind of thing. So it's too technical for this class. It's too technical for this kind of thing. But ChatGPT was able to educate me. It was able to answer my question. Hey, I don't know this. Can you please help me understand it? Here's my G code that I created, but I don't know what the numbers mean. And it was able to take my G code and break down the numbers. And I was able to understand the math behind it, why it did this, why those numbers are that, and that kind of thing. And so once I know that, Here, before I knew what the alpha symbol looked like, you know, and everything, I was like, hey, what is that signal? You know, it's the alpha, it's the Greek letter delta, but it's the it is alpha X, alpha Y, and it's the I don't know why I'm saying alpha and it's sitting right there in front of my face, but the delta, it's basically the change in, you know, from this to this, what's the change? So delta, I don't know why I'm saying alpha, because I'm an alpha male, I don't know. But delta X, delta Y, the it's that change. What changed from this line to that line? What changed? Delta X was 1 inch, delta Y was 5 inches, but down here in this line, delta X is 2 inches and delta Y is 1.5. What changed between those two lines? And then it, you know, it figures that out and all. So it and it basically, you know, what's changed from the previous line and all. So it was able to break it down and everything. And I was able to take a crash course, you know, to understand the math and everything. And so once I understood the math, then I could write the code, or I started before the code was written. I created the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet was first. Once the spreadsheet started working, then the code. All right. Anyway, that was all boring. How many people I lost? I went down. I lost 2 people during that. They dropped out and they're like, screw this. I don't understand what he's saying or what he's showing. So let's get out of that. So, JR, that would be as far as a class and everything, on Lua, let ChatGPT be your instructor, and you literally talk to ChatGPT. You literally talk to ChatGPT. Hey, and what you said in your words, JR, you said in your words, I want all data collected automatically from my G code or from wherever. I want all the data collected, and I want it transferred into a database. It would be stored in a JSON file. Okay, that's kind of like your database. That's the file it's going to read from and everything. So it's saying, hey, pull this and then calculate off that or what have you. But you want all of that data collected and transferred into a database file, you know, and you want no human interaction. So you're wanting to, now you're going to have to engage it. So what I mean by that is you would have to open that gadget, and you would have to, you know, you'd have to have your G code loaded, and you click a button, and when you click the button to extrapolate or whatever you want to name it, grab the data. I don't care what you want to name the button, but when you click that button, it's going to look at the file, pull the information that you want it to pull. It's going to store it in a JSON or what have you, and then it's going to run calculation, whatever it is you're wanting it to do, right? So the only human interaction is going to be at that point is going to be you clicking the button. Now, in my script and everything, in my script is completely self-calculating. My script is completely self-calculating. If I choose what model machine I'm running, all the information will calculate off here. I don't have to fill in any of this information. It will pull everything from the you know, the chip load tables and all the other JSON files. The only thing I have to tell it is how big my stock is, right? So you notice these zeros here on the circumference and the degrees and everything. It needs to know about turning my stock and all that stuff. So it needs to know the diameter of my stock. It doesn't need to know the plunge percentage. It's got a default percentage for each of the chip load or the bit types and the wood types and all that stuff and all that. All it needs to know is the size of my material. So let's say my material is 1.5 inches. and everything. When I compute that, then it's going to compute all that information. And then I can create, I can generate a snippet of code to test, right? And everything and all that. So you can tell, if you want to, you can tell ChatGPT what you want to do, and it'll help you write that code. Now, I will tell you something right now. Don't 100% solely depend on GPT. You got to kind of learn a little bit of this on your own. You can't sit back and say, you could sit back and say, GPT, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. But, if we look at one of my conversations, bear with me a second. Let me find my correct tab. Not that tab. Not that tab. Not that tab. All right, I must have closed it. That's all right. I'll reopen it. No problemo. Let's look at, wait for it. It takes a second. So let's go up. And this is it. Now I'm going to tell you, this is the most important thing right here. Okay. This is the most important thing that you should do with your GPT. If you're doing ChatGPT, when you're at points and everything, okay, remember these words. Okay. So before we begin, and this is me saying, but remember the last words. Okay. Before we begin on working on 1 through 7 and everything, we should take a pause and create an updated full memory recall report, because your conversation with ChatGPT will time out. You only get a certain amount of conversation you can have with them. And now you have to start a new conversation. So you don't want to have to start from scratch and reteach ChatGPT and everything, especially if you're using the free version. It does not recall any memory of your last conversation with it. So in the full memory report, it will create a memory recall report that I can copy and paste or put in PDF form. And at the very end here, it'll ask me, okay, what kind of report do you want? Do you want on the reports, what kind of report do you want? Do you want a technical deep dive developer edition report? Do you want a practical owner's manual report? Do you want a hybrid of the two, right? And everything. And I said, hey, this is more for your benefit in the event that our current session is lost or times out, or we reach a chat limit. This recall report needs to serve as a tool that I can upload to a new session so we can pick up where we left off and not have to start over with anything that we have accomplished and learned. I do have a backup of all my files and everything that I'll be able to pull from and stuff. But what's going to be the most successful report for you to recall full memory recall so we don't have to start over, right? And ChatGPT says, oh, hey, the correct answer is format A, the deep dive technician. So it creates that report. And that report, if I crash, if I get a timeout and I have to start over, I can copy and paste that report into the new session, or I can, and this is the report and everything. So it breaks everything down. Section 3 of the report, section 4, all the little things and all the little nuances and all the stuff that we've learned, all the mistakes and issues. It recalls that whole report, and I can upload that and pick right back up where I left off. I don't have to start from scratch. Full memory recall report. You need to take a pause and do that every once in a while so you don't bite yourself in the butt. Because if I have to teach ChatGPT every time I use it or start a new session, what I was working on for hours and hours and hours, the day before, then ChatGPT is useless to me, right? If I've got to teach it every time that I go to use it and it's useless to me. I need it to learn. And now listen, this is the stupid part. Hold on, this is the stupid part. Let's see here. Bear with me. Notice the word. Let me go back to the big screen here. Notice the word that I type in here. Fail. Right? So, or let's go failed. 73 times ChatGPT failed its mission. It failed its issues and everything. And it created errors. And when it does, let me get up to one of my failed conversations. Okay. Self-check. That's why I have self-check and all that stuff. But let me go up to one of the failed when I have it review the code, because it'll review your code for you and it'll help you with mistakes and all that stuff, or it'll write your code for you too, and everything. Let me get to one of the, come on, get up there. Right here. All right. Okay, this is still not filling in the correct numbers. You know, we have worked, now this is me, I'm yelling at ChatGPT. We have worked for hours on this one simple section and failed to get it to operate correctly. I have a class to teach, but maybe we need to take a fresh approach and figure out if we're trying to apply this correctly. The spreadsheet I have attached, the math works. When I choose a model, it applies the max speed of the inches per minute of the model. We have to resolve this or we cannot move on, right? And ChatGPT tells me, it says, you're right. We are falling back into the first model. This happens when the dialogue does this, and it tells me kind of what's wrong. And what I love is when ChatGPT, now I'll tell it when it's screwing up and all that stuff. But you know, I'm like, hey, do we have to give up on this? Do we need to quit? And do we need to just move on and get past all this and everything? And so let me see here. Move on. So let me search for move on. Let's go back to an earlier move on conversation. We cannot move on. Move on. So let's see here. Move on. All my move on reports. Give up. Let me see where. Right here. So with ChatGPT and everything, I'm like, we're going in circles. Here are two new errors. Truthfully, are you not able, this is me talking to ChatGPT now. This is my conversation here. Truthfully, are you not able to create this Lua gadget correctly without the errors? You know, should we give up? I was going to teach a class on Lua using ChatGPT to help with scripts, but you're failing with error after error. I do not want to teach the students how ChatGPT can help with Lua script when the fact is you have failed to successfully create a script. This was my little test script that I taught a private class on. You have failed to create this script without errors. And I gave you a working script to start from. Your changes introduced error after error. And ChatGPT is like, you're right. We've been fighting the HTML. You know, let's sidestep and let's do this, you know, and everything. But I'm hard on ChatGPT. I'm like, you're the supercomputer. I gave you a working code. You know, but the changes you're making to it, you're introducing errors and things. So I'm hard on ChatGPT, but I'm teaching it. And it's learning, you know, in everything that we do. And it's learning more and more. It's learning. And then eventually we end up with, you know, a working model, whatever it is. But you got to talk to, you got to talk to it. You got to talk to it like you're talking to a person. You got to, it's, you know, if it's going to help you, it needs to help you. It can't hurt you. You know, if you, you know, say, hey, I'm just human. You're the supercomputer. I gave you a working script, but you're introducing error after error into it. Do we need to just give up? I can't teach a class on this if you can't, you know, if you're not going to help. I can't tell the class that ChatGPT will help when you actually don't. And it eventually it gets back on track and all that. So long story short, that was a long to do about nothing, but ChatGPT can help you. It can analyze your code. It can help you write your code and all, but you can't solely depend on it. 100%. You cannot. It makes mistakes, just like a human that makes mistakes. So even though it's a supercomputer, it makes mistakes, and it makes them. If you look at my file, okay, if you look at my file, I'll show you one of my files, folders, downloads, gadget. I want you to look at the file names, okay? Can you, oh, you can't see it in that screen. Hold on. I want you to look at the file names right here. Rotary Calc error 41, 40, 39, 37, 36, right? Rotary Calc, results, come here and everything, but Rotary Calc working 1 and 2, right? These are screenshots. After every time, something, 49 errors in this, error after error after error, okay, that's not working. Nope, that's not working. Nope, it's supposed to be this. That's not working. And then taking screenshots and giving those screenshots to GPT saying, look, here's the error. We got to fix it, right? So error after error and everything. And you teach it. It can't see your screen. It can't see the results that the gadget's putting out. If it's helping you, if it's being a helper to you, you gotta show it, right? So you gotta help it help you. So you take your screenshot, say, hey, here, upload the screenshot. It can read photos, it can see photos, and it can read the error messages that pop up on your screen. It can dissect the photo and tell you exactly, and then it can work from that. Say, hey, here's the error. Why did this error? And then, it'll explain to you why it went wrong, and then we go in and fix it, that kind of thing. So it can be a helper, but you can't solely depend on it 100% to be your creator. You've got to have some knowledge. You got to have some, you got to work at it and stuff, right? I can go in and I can deduce when ChatGPT is going in circles, creating error after error. I can go in and look at the logic of the code and say, wait a minute, it's not calculating this properly. That shouldn't be calculating that. It should be calculating this. And ChatGPT got stuck on its own calculation. It's thinking, no, it's got to do this. And I'm like, no, it's got to do that. And then I'm able to be that human interaction, saying, hey, you've got stuck in a loop. You're focusing too much on this when we actually need to be calculating this in this particular segment. Show it a screenshot. Light bulb will come on for it and go, okay, you're right. And then it'll, help you. But you can't depend on it solely 100%. Would you get the same results using the free version? Yes, you'll get the similar results using the free version, but you won't get the memory. So you have to, your session is only going to be allowed. You're only allowed to have a certain length of conversation with it on the free version. And when it times out, I don't care if you're in the middle of the conversation. When it times out, it times out. You can't. That's it. You've reached your limit. And if you have not created some kind of memory recall report or something that you can copy and paste, even if you copied the whole conversation and pasted it into a new session and told ChatGPT, hey, read our last conversation, you know, and it summarizes it into a document. You can paste it into like Google Sheets or Google Docs and make a PDF of it, so it can read that PDF and go, okay, I'm up to speed. What do you want to do next? That kind of thing. In the free version, you have to, if you don't do that, it doesn't remember your last conversation. Okay. It's crazy. It's AI can get so technical and all that stuff, but it's not anything about, we got to get back into the Vectric, but long story short, we talked 2 hours and 24 minutes on, these, and hopefully I'm answering y'all's questions and you find this stuff interesting and all that stuff. But, can I post a link to that Lua manual? Yes, I can. Give me a second here. Help. Gadget Vectric Gadget SKP SKD V12. So let's go online, vectric.com. It's really in the manual. Let me go to the manual. Help contents. Lua, Lua, developing gadgets. This is in the manual of your Vectric, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the help contents. Okay. It talks about, the gadgets, installing gadgets, running gadgets and everything, pre-installed gadgets and all that stuff, but then developing gadgets, the SDK and the tutorials, the developing the gadget. Let's go back up to the top here and type in SDK. And there's a link in here. Hold on a second. I just got to find it. Bear with me. This will require knowledge. The SDK and tutorials are provided as is. Vectric cannot provide that. Gadgets on their own. So let's go to here. It's not there. Hold on a second. Hold on a minute. Lua manual. Gadget. There we go. That's what I wanted. Bear with me. Develop. Where's the link, Vectric? Where's the link? It used to be right down here. Give me a second. All right, let's just go online. Vectric Gadget SDK version 12 developer info. There we go. Here we go. You can download it from here. Copy the link. Copy link address. Go over to the chat and type in paste. There you go. That's version 12. They have it for version 11, version 12, and that's it. So that's the manual, the gadgets right there. 12 SDK. All right. So that's enough about Lua. Any other questions? Let me see if there's any other questions. Avid's rotary is inverse time mode, yes, but it also can be turned off to G94. G93. It's by default their post processor. So in the post processor, inverse time mode. Let me go bigger on the screen here. In the post processor, inverse time mode is set to yes, and the same thing for the Avid's post processor. It's set to yes. When it's set to yes, then it knows to use the F1 inverse time mode settings and everything. FI, not F1, FI for your A axis and 1-to-1. And then in the header, it switches to G93. And at the end of the footer, it switches back to G94, which is regular inch per minute mode. Okay. So same thing with the Avid post processor. It activates G93. So the controller program knows that it's running in inverse time mode versus inch per minute and everything. My head is spinning. Kurt, are you still with me, or was your head spinning and you just left? Like, oh, forget this, I'm leaving. No, I see Kurt later in the chat. There you are. Are you still with me, Kurt? Did your head? Did it? Like, oh my God, I'm leaving. Let's see here. Thanks, Laney, for the intro to AI tools that you use. Yeah. Now I will say this. Now let's really quickly. Galaxy AI. Galaxy. Galaxy, Galaxy.ai gives you access to over 3,000 different AI tools. Okay. It's $15 a month, but you have access to over 3,000 different tools. Now, let me tell you, or let me show you what one tool pays for that $15 every single month. Okay, really quickly. The one tool that absolutely makes the $15 worth it every month on Galaxy AI. Let me log in. Just in case, I want y'all to see my password. I'm just kidding. Let's hear it. Stand by. Okay, so Galaxy AI, you have access to 3,496 tools, different AI tools. So on all the AI tools, from anything from new tools that they put out, but text, right? You know, chat with AI, but images, image studio, image generator, image editor, that's the one that pays for itself. Background changer, video, video generator, video AI, video maker, and all these stuff. So all these tools you have access to, right? $15 a month. Now, you have, like I have, as far as credits, it's all kind of credit based and everything, but every month you get 15 million credits to work off of, and I have 98 million accumulated, right? So here's the deal. Let me show you the one tool that pays for everything and why it pays for everything. So we come down here to the image editor tool. And let's look at my history. And let's look at this one. Let's look at the original image. I had a customer who is making a laser engraving something for one of his customers, Fifth Street Billiards. And my customer didn't ask Fifth Street Billiards for their graphic that they use for printers, for making T-shirts and things like that. So really all he was working off of was the what he found online, for their logo and stuff. Instead of going to them saying, hey, do this. He's an older gentleman. He just went online to Google and found their logo and, and everything. Well, this image was only 200 pixels by 200 pixels. It was a thumbnail, a Facebook thumbnail for their Facebook page. And the first thing is upscale. So it takes this low pixel image and it upscales it to a larger resolution image, right? Then once it's upscaled a little bit larger and everything, then coming in and prompting it, right? Now my prompt is very simple. Create a black and white graphic style image of the subject photo. That's it. So it converts this to create the black and white for his laser engraving and everything, but it also cleans up the resolution and everything and all the crispiness of the edges and everything, so that image can be downloaded and and used, right? So that's one. So just takes a few seconds. Now let's look at another one of my edit histories. Here, same customer as the Fifth Street logo. Same customer. Online, he has this image. Laney, I want to laser engrave this. How do I turn it to a black and white? Okay, so I bring it into the image editor. Simple prompt, create a black and white image style graphic of the subject photo. So it does that, but I don't like the way, I don't want to laser engrave here and, and everything. I want it inverted. So version 2 is create a black and white graphic style image of the subject photo, but mirror the black and white areas. That's the one that I wanted, right? Now we can bring it in. We could V-carve it, laser engrave it, do whatever. Now let me show you a real one. Made a sign for the owner of Digital Woodcarver, and this is their house. A physical, real image of their house, like from the front yard. That's the source image. Got to laser engrave this thing, right? And laser photo didn't work, and laser sketch didn't work. It turned out crappy and all that stuff. So I needed a black and white. Go into the AI image editor and say, create a black and white graphic style image of the subject photo. Remove the sky and some of the trees in the background. Didn't need all the trees in the sky. And this was the result. Bam! I mean, dang good result. Like just, phenomenal result. And it laser engraved beautifully. I'll show you the laser engraving. Give me just a second here. It's turned sideways. It's turned sideways, but this is the farmhouse sign, but that's the house, right? That's the laser engraving. I wish I had it turned upright, but that's the the laser engraving of the house and everything, right? So trust me, on that first result, let me get out of this. On that first result, with just using the photo in the laser photo, no. In the laser sketch, no. you know, but when I come in here and, you know, had it image to edit it and had it convert to black and white, bam, you know, and that is money. That's money. That pays for itself, right? Now, let's give this image editor another example, right? Let's do a new image, and let's go online and let's do let's do the Marion County Sheriff's Office badge as an example. All right, and let's say that for the image, let's say that we use this one. So we'll save the image as, we'll call it Marion County. All right, let's go back over here. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that in. Now, it's only 400 by 400 pixels, okay? And it's very pixelated. I wish it would translate. I hope it translates well, but it's very pixelated here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale it. Okay, so now it takes me over to the image upscaler, another AI tool. Okay, and on the upscaler, I'm going to use Topaz AI. I've got 3 different AIs that do this work. Topaz AI, and I'm going to just go double the size. I can go 3 times the size, quadruple size. I'm just going to go double the size, and I'm going to generate that image. Okay. So now when it generates that image, of course, it's using some of my points and all, but it's using only 0.65 points or whatever. It's 65 minutes. It's using a very small fraction of my, what do you call them? Credits and everything. But it's going to look at that image and it's going to scale it up. Now, look, I don't know. I hope it shows up really well in the camera and all, but look how crisp the letters and everything are. Look how clean the edges are and the letters and all versus what it was. So now I can come over here and I can download that image. And I'll do rename Marion County upscaled. Love the upscaler. Upscaled. Now we'll go back to the image editor. And bring in that upscaled image. So much cleaner on the edges. And I like Nano Banana. Nano Banana does a great job. Love it, love it, love it. Nano Banana. Gemini 2.5 Flash, basically. But create a very simple prompt, same as always. Create a black and white graphic style image from the source image provided. Now that's a simple prompt. Now I could really get more into the prompt, like, create a black and white t-shirt style graphic for CNC laser engraving or CNC carving and blah, blah. I could add all those extra words and stuff in, but so far, just this basic, simple, hey, create a black and white style graphic, from the source image. So it's going to edit it. And what I love about this is it actually doesn't take long to make this happen. Just a few moments ago, we went on Google and pulled this image down off of Google, and it wasn't the greatest image, but maybe it was the only image available to me for the Marion County Sheriff's Law. Maybe it was the only one. From there, was able to go in and turn it into a upscale it to bring it up bigger. And then from there, I'm able to bring it in here to and convert it into a black and white. And now I can download that image. Now I can go into my Vectric software. And let's do this as a 12 by 12 by 3/4. It can be a single-sided carving. Import that graphic. How large that is on a 12 by 12. I also have AI tools. That could create DXFs and all that stuff too as well, in there. But $15 now. $15 a month. And how many images could I do this to a month? Kind of thing, right? Really unlimited. But so let's do I don't need to do anything. Well, I do need to do something with that. I'm not going to laser engrave. I'm going to V carve it. So let's trace it. Right. But I mean, it's really good. So let's go to trace bitmap. Black and white. 75 is my go-to number. Default corner fit, default noise filter. Turn the fading off. It doesn't matter, but preview, apply and close. Turn off the bitmap layer. V-carve toolpath. Let me set a flat depth. We'll do 1/8 of an inch flat depth. 60-degree V-bit is fine. It would help if we selected the vectors. We'll clean up we'll do a vector overlap, but let's preview the visible toolpath. Add some color to it, global fill color, and Bob's your uncle. Right? Galaxy AI is ChatGPT. It is ChatGPT. So in Galaxy AI just gives you, instead of paying $30 a month through OpenAI ChatGPT directly, for $15 a month, let me get back over to it. For $15 a month, Galaxy AI is, when you're like, if I want to, I have access to Perplexity, Veo, Sora, Grok, Flux, Stable Fusion, Ideology, ChatGPT, Luma, all of the major, it's all of them. So when I'm chatting, I can create custom GPTs like the Laney. Like Laney is a custom GPT. My Laney GPT that does my quoting and all that stuff. But it is ChatGPT, right? And it's a specialized bot of ChatGPT that focuses strictly on AI face swap or background changer or text editor or kissing video generator and things like that. But it's off the ChatGPT platform. And then not just the ChatGPT platform, but it's also Claude, Perplexity, Banana, Banana, and Veo, Sora, all of them, right? So you can talk with Grok, which is Elon Musk's. You can talk with GPT. You can start a new chat and everything. You can talk with, here's your GPTs. So there's custom GPTs, Elon Musk. You can have a conversation with Harry Potter, Yoda, if you want to talk with them. But you know, you can. But it's all Chat GPT. You just have access for one monthly fee. All of the AIs, well, at least 3,346 of them, are all under one roof, so that you can, you know, so you have access to all those tools and everything. Okay, that kind of thing. So you can, you know, all of them. All right, all right, all right. Okay. So chat. You can help you. It can help you create prompts and all that stuff. But yeah, so Galaxy AI. But look at that. So we went from this photo at 400 by 400 pixels, this photo right here, right into the upscaler, which brings it, makes it a larger pixel, right into the convert it to a black and white, and then right into the Vectric software to create the carving. Mind blowing. You know what I mean? Come on now. You got to be happy about that, right? Yeah, man, it's so great. Love that. So, Kurt H, the best one for chat to image is the image generator. So chat to image, again, I have Chat GPT, but I also have Galaxy AI, which gives me access to all the tools. So it really depends on which one I open up, you know, to begin with. But if I come in here, we go down to the image generator, or you can come down to the image to text. Okay, so well, that's image to text. So it takes an image and turns it into text. Hold on, I don't want image to text. I want text to image. So text to speech, image to text, image generator right there. So here, all right, here's an image generator. Here you go. Here you go. Ready? 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 All right. So here we go. Okay, image generator. Let's do this. Create a black and got my caps on. Hold on. I don't need to be yelling at ChatGPT. Create a black and white graphic style image of a monkey surfing on a wave wearing Bermuda shorts and a visor. No, here, visor is cool, but let's do and sunglasses. Let's see. That's really all I need, but let's see here. Make it on an epic wave. Wearing Bermuda shorts and sunglasses. Ideogram is great. Nano Banana I like, but there are all these options, you know, depending, each one of them has their own specialty, you know, like for instance, Wave creates high fidelity image with enhanced prompts, you know, you can use enhanced prompts and all. Well, I'm using a basic prompt, right? So Nano Banana is Google's state-of-the-art image modeler, you know, it's based off of Gemini, and I really like Nano Banana, but you know, you can do them all, any one of them. I want a 1-to-1 square is fine. I can do a 16 by 9 if I want the wave to be bigger, more detail and things. So I'll do a 16 by 9. I want a PNG image, and I want it to generate me, 2 images. I want 2 to choose from. Okay, so let's generate it. Let's generate it. Let's see what we got. Let's generate it. So a monkey surfing an epic wave in Bermuda shorts and his sunglasses. Right? Now, come on now. Come on now. Image upscaler, if I want to upscale it, and all that stuff. Let me back up. I don't want to upscale it. Let's go back to the image generator. Let's go back to my history and everything. And, so I got 2 images that I can work with. And let's Surf's Up Monkey. I don't want the text in there. So I'm going to go into the image editor on this one. And I want it to, I'm going to prompt it. Maybe I'm going to prompt it. Draw to edit. I don't want to draw to edit. Let me, hold on a second. It's frozen. Let me go back to my image generator real quick and grab that image. Go back to history. Let's grab this one and edit it. It does not like, for some reason tonight, bringing the image straight in. So easy enough. Go back here. Go into, now I'm really frozen up. Let me refresh. I'm clicking too fast and too many times. All right, so on this one, I'm going to download it first. Just because it didn't like that opening and all, and that's fine. It is what it is. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to go into the image editor. And the tools you use most often, they'll stay kind of prompted over here on the side and stuff, for you. So I'm going to upload that. And now here on the description, I want it to remove the text. Okay. Remove the text. Remove the text from the image provided. And you don't have to do that image. We just remove the text, but let's generate that. And that's it. Right? So it removed the text from the image. Download it. Go over to the Vectric software. Import it. Trace it. '75 default corner fit, default noise filter, preview, apply, close. Go over to the layers, turn off the bitmap layer, select the vector, go to vCarve toolpath, calculate. Some of the bits aren't going to get used. So it'll probably, you know, reset the preview the visible toolpath, turn off the color so you can see the carving itself. Right? Come on now. How can it get any easier? Right? A monkey surfing an epic wave wearing Bermuda shorts and sunglasses. That came out of the top of the dome. Generated. Edited to take the text out. Didn't want the text in there. Imported. Carved. Or toolpath, right? Ready to carve. So, I mean, come on. You know, you can start really getting creative, and you know, you can have it make, you know, crosses or this or that. You can you know, on your text to image, you tell it what you want, it'll make the image, right? Kind of thing, and all that stuff. So now these images that I generated here, I generated them for carving or laser engraving, the black and white style graphic. If I was generating the model style image to take over to that Sculpt OK program that we talked about, that Becky, you guys got to go watch that video from Becky, how to make 3D models and stuff, but using AI. But I did this for laser engraving or V carving. If I was doing it for modeling to take over to Sculpt OK, then I would use that prompt. You know, balanced lighting, high detail for CNC carving, you know, edges and everything, you know, for that look like they're sculpted out of clay. All those key prompts we talked about earlier. That's what I would use. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we went 3 hours tonight. We don't need to really go much more to harp on that kind of stuff. But there is your brass monkey, that funky monkey. How old are you guys? Anybody remember that song? All right, I got that stuck in your head now. You'll be singing that all night. Brass monkey. All right. So, any other last minute questions on anything that you know, will help you and stuff? But check it out. I'm telling you now, Galaxy AI is nothing to sleep on for $15 a month. If you got it, $15 pays for itself. I mean, just to this, I could carve this sign and sell, you know, these for $10 a pop. You know, I could, you know, Surf's Up. I could do whatever, you know. It's $10 a pop at my little craft store stand. That might be funny, you know. It might be somebody that's into chimpanzees surfing on an epic wave. Who knows? But you know what I mean? I could. The $15, it pays for itself. You know, that's one $15 that I really don't sweat about each month on paying, because my CNC, I'm making money, and this is a tool in my business, and my sales cover the expense of this tool, right? That kind of thing, you know. And it's an inexpensive tool for a lot, 3,300 different AIs, different things, and all that stuff. And last thing I'll show you, we're not going to make anything else, but in that Chat GPT, the all of the graphics and everything that were used, you know, it got some of the images wrong, but all the graphics and stuff, and all the images and things, other than my little muscles there, but all those backgrounds and stuff, to add backgrounds for my headshots and all that stuff, I mean, they all pay for themselves, you know. So now it looks like I was at a car show, you know, with some nice cars in the background and all that stuff for my headshot, right? And also I wanted to see what I looked like with black hair. You see that? Change the hair color to black. I don't think I look good with black hair, but I wanted to see what I looked like with black hair. I thought about, because I'm getting gray. Let me show you. Hold on a second. Let me come back to this screen. So I'm getting a lot of gray going on here. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna. What if I go just for men, hair dye? Nah. Maybe I go to the salon and get dyed and all that. What if I do black or do something darker? So ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but the AI allows me to change my hair to see what hair and hairstyles, like, you know, buzz cut or whatever. I can type in what I want. You can change your hairstyle. I didn't look good in black, so that's that. Yep. Cool stuff, man. No, those are not AI muscles. So let me put that one to bed. Before I started losing or gaining weight, I got fat again. But I got depressed when I lost my top half of my top teeth and everything. So I stopped going to the gym. But here, hold on a second. Bear with me a second. But I'm back at the gym now. I go to Gold's Gym again. I started back, but I had been away from the gym for 2 years. And the 3 years, 2022 was the last time I was in the gym. 2022, yeah. And give me just a second. That's my back with my gray hair. Hold on a minute. Let's see here. I don't have a, I'm trying to, is that a picture or a video? I'm trying to find a video, something live. Once I got back on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy and everything, you know, and back at the gym, let me see here. You know, the gains started coming, and I went from 155. I'm trying to find my before and after photo. I'll probably get tagged on that one. But let's see here. 2022, 2022, 2023. Bear with me. One more, and then we'll call it a day. I want to show you the before and after. The before and after. Okay, this is crazy. So let me download this one and then let me open it up. Okay, so this was me. Look how skinny I was. That's me, the goofy looking dude on the right. But that was me in 21, January 2021. Looked like an Anorex beanpole. Okay. And this was me on my first day, I was going to go to the gym. So this was me. My first day, that was my before photo. Goofy bastard. Anyway, and then this was me 4 months in. My grill wasn't looking too smooth in this photo, but so I went from 155. I'm now 200 pounds. I was at 145, 150. And then, let's see. And then last one, well, not last one, but so the funny thing is we look at, so same shirt, right? Same dude, but that's crazy what the gym will do for you and everything. So yeah, it's insane. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little show and tell on me. But I stopped going to the gym, and I got fat, gained weight, and I stopped going to the gym because, you know, I got some screwed up teeth there, and unfortunately, I don't have dental insurance. When you work for yourself, you know, I don't have medical insurance and can't afford, you know, I the last estimate I had on my teeth was $35,000 to get my teeth fixed. And that's just not happening. You know, and so I almost stopped the lives, and I almost stopped, like, this was just recent, you know, YouTube and all that stuff, and thought, you know, I'm just going to make, that's why I cloned myself with GPT and my voice and my mannerisms and all that stuff, because like I told the give me just a second here. Give me just a second. Bear with me just a minute. Oh, I'm in the wrong chat. I was looking for something. Here it is. Let me go back up here to give me a second. There's a method to, or there's a reason why I'm video suggested. Creatify, Black Friday. Okay, so here's what I told the company. This was just about a week ago. So this will be the last thing I said. So something to think about. I'm missing half my teeth in the upper part of my mouth. I've lost part of another front tooth tonight. You know, there's no way of getting them repaired anytime. So I no longer have a face and a smile for video. I can do voiceovers. I can, or not smile or do close-ups when I do the video. But I've got to start thinking, we've got to start thinking as a company, you know, we got to start thinking about a fresh new face for DWC videos. AI is cheaper than a human actor. But there are also thousands of influencers out there as well that, you know, would be willing to do it. It's a hard reality I have to face. I do not have what it takes to be in front of a camera anymore. I need to hide in the shadows and work from behind the scenes because I have lost my smile. And that's the letter that I sent to Digital Woodcarver, the company. That's the message and everything. And I almost stopped, just no more lives. I'm just going to make videos and here's how to do this, here's how to do that, and that, because it is what it is. I've lost weight, I've gained weight, losing my teeth, and things like that. And there's no way to fix it and all that. So it's a big image thing. And I'm in front of a camera. That's my livelihood, right? Kind of thing. So I just started back to the gym and, to kind of get things back, but there's nothing I can do with the smile, but it's getting worse and worse. And, it is what it is, but no, not AI muscles. They're real. They were in 2022 at least, but 2023. All right, so that was enough of my little sob story. But anyhow, I tried to do what was it? A year ago, I tried to do a fundraiser, to help me repair my smile when I got that quote from the dentist. And I had 3 people donate, which helped me get some of the tooth. But it was I raised $1,000 is what I raised of the $35,000 goal. So I came nowhere near close to goal, but I did raise enough money that I could get some work done on 2 of the teeth that were causing me problems and stuff, and it paid for them and all. But yeah, so it's becoming a reality. I mean, I don't even like talking like this, I wish I could, one of these days, but pretty soon the others are going to probably fall out. Who knows? But anyway, that's enough of that. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all, it's 3 hours and 16 minutes of me just rambling and talking about not much of anything. AI is a future kind of thing, so check that out. But the Lua script, I sent y'all the link in the chat for that, for the Lua manual. And hopefully we got some understanding on modeling plane, zero plane, and limit plane, right? And but yeah. So does the Florida have 28 hours a day? How do you do? Does Florida have 28 hours a day? How do you do what you do? How do you do what I do? Are you talking about Florida doesn't have 28-hour days. We have Digital Woodcarver has 24-hour support Monday through Saturday, phone call, text message, email. But thanks, Brooke. Brooke says, don't worry, Lenny, we're here for the content, not for the beauty contest. But that's awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, so give a thumbs up if you like the video. That helps the channel, helps make money. One of these days, it'll help me get my smile back. Who knows? You never know. But anyway, that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Kurt, what do you mean by, does Florida have 28 hours days? How do you do what you do? I just stay busy, and I have coffee, and I have a coffee warmer that keeps it hot on my desk. And that'll keep me going for the next few hours. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. See you. See y'all.